In a recent video, I took a look at the best and worst episodes of Evangelion.
The rankings in the video were based on the results of a poll I had circulated to measure people's attitudes towards the series episodes. Originally, I didn't have a video topic in mind. I really just wanted to know which is more disliked. Episode 7, A Human Work, or Episode 10, Magma Diver. I've seen people argue between the two for years,
and while I felt quite confident that Magma Diver is the worst episode in the series, and I still do,
I wanted to take an unbiased, more statistical approach, and the results were as I expected, both in terms of how well liked the episodes are, as well as in terms of what episode people think is the worst. Magma Diver came in dead last by a considerable to significant margin, but that still left A Human Work with the rampaging jet alone in next to last place, which I feel is somewhat undeserved. Granted, it's not the best episode, as there are some really good episodes in Evangelion, but next to last? So in this video, I wanted to take a closer look at episode 7, because I do think there are some merits this episode has that fans may not have considered or given the episode credit for. Let's dive in. First off, let's start with what should be fairly obvious. This episode revolves around Jet alone, which is the only actual mecha in a mecha show.
Now, before you rush to the comments to blast me with messages about how I'm dumb and Evangelions are mecha, just hold on for a second.
Mecha is typically defined as robots that are either piloted, remote-controlled, or sentient. Mecha can also include robotic exosuits. But with mecha, you're still dealing with something that is robotic or mechanical, not something that is organic. If you take an Evangelion, strip back the armor and mechanical augmentations, what you're left with is a living being that bleeds, screams, eats, and in some officially sanctioned Evangelion parody manga, they poop. The Evangelions regenerate, experience cellular death, and are placed in cryostasis when not in use. By strict definitions of what a mecha show is, Evangelion doesn't qualify, because the Evangelions aren't robots. If anything, they're cyborgs. But that's just standard definitions. And you can make the argument that Evangelion absolutely is mecha, and I do agree, that for all intents and purposes, it is a mecha show. And it's kind of cool how it is, while breaking free of the way we define these things. And Jet alone is a cool element to have in the show, because it provides contrast, or a reminder that the Evangelions are far from your typical mecha,
like a mobile suit,
or a variable fighter. A number of people like, or cite Evangelion for its deconstruction or subversion of the mecha genre, and Jet alone is an important element in that aspect of the series.
This episode also takes one last opportunity to further develop the dichotomy that is Misato's home life and work life,
while also further developing the relationship between Shinji and Misato before introducing Asuka into the mix. And I think this is something that is very important for the show to touch upon.
There's a saying, and there are of course multiple variations,
but the idea is that family isn't, or family isn't always the one you're born into. It's the one that you make. Consider where Shinji is at the start of the series. His mother, for all intents and purposes, died when he was very young, to the point where he can't even remember her face, and he doesn't even have the benefit of something so simple as a photograph to remember her by. He hasn't seen his father in 3 years, and he has, to some degree, struggled with even accepting his father's invitation. In the end, he probably latched onto some small hope that his father wanted him in his life for positive, familial reasons. However, when he finally does see his father, it's to be marched into mortal danger, while also having the fate of all humanity heaped on top of them. Not to mention the cold, detached way that his father says that he has a use for him. That would be especially painful to just about anyone. This episode explores the way in which Shinji and Misato, though not related by blood, have begun to form familial bonds with one another. And, for as much as some of you out there complain about how Shinji whines constantly,
this is one of those few episodes where we see a happy, smiling Shinji.
This episode also makes a few important contributions to the show's lore. There is a moment where Shinji is in Unit 1, presumably for training or a sync test, and he questions what an Eva is. And he questions both why the entry plug smells like blood, as well as why he feels so relaxed there. Even at this early point in the series, the show is starting to drop hints, foreshadow, or tease at the true nature of the Evangelions, as well as the fate of Yui Ikari. We also get a look at Antarctica for the first time, and we learn that, contrary to recorded history, Second Impact wasn't caused by a meteor strike, but by the first angel Adam. Ritsuko doesn't give Shinji, and by extension the viewer, the full story at the time. However, it's a key moment of storytelling as we learn a bit more about the greater lore of Evangelion. But the most important thing that we need to talk about, something that I feel many fans overlook, is that this episode has a lot of subtle world building that helps detail NERV's place in the world. Evangelion's narrative is generally confined to Tokyo 3. The show doesn't deviate from NERV's perspective very often, and we rarely hear from those that are not connected to NERV in some way. Episode 7 really breaks out of that bubble, and lets us know the dynamics at play on the global scale. It does a lot to make the world feel lived in. And much of this detail falls under the umbrella of finances and global politics. Exciting, I know, but it's an important aspect of the show's narrative. Keep in mind, the Second Impact happened only 15 years prior, and with it came terrible flooding and devastation, climate change, civil wars, starvation, and the death of half the total human population. To come back from that sort of global catastrophe in only 15 years is a major accomplishment. Or is it? Our worldview is, again, largely confined to Tokyo 3, which has consumed significant amounts of global financial resources, to the point where it is stated that people in other countries are starving so that Tokyo 3 and NERV can operate. And even then, it's still not enough. The characters talked about repairing the Evangelions within budget, and that even though they are the most important thing to mankind's survivability, man cannot live by Eva alone. I also think it's a cool little detail that they touch upon the reality that is angel disposal, and that even that must be done within budget.
This episode also illustrates that NERV commands huge financial resources, disproportionate to its size. Just take a look at the way NERV is using futuristic VTOLs, when everyone else is still using contemporary, rotor-style helicopters. Not to mention the size of the parties involved relative to NERV. NERV has competitors that are actively vying for its resources and funding.
Jet alone itself represents a credible threat to NERV. We don't get a chance to see its full capabilities, but you can juxtapose the first steps of both robots and see where Jet alone succeeds, or Ava Unit 1 fails. And though Jet alone lacks the most critical thing in defeating the Angels, an ET field, Shiro Tokita, the Jet alone guy, states that it's only a matter of time, and that NERV's day in the sun will not last forever. And judging from Ritsuko's response, or lack thereof, perhaps he's right. Regardless, Jet alone is an obstacle to NERV's goals, and NERV is willing to resort to sabotage in order to secure its position as a major power in the world in order to accomplish its goals. Oh, and one last thing. I've already mentioned before, but this episode did also give us the greatest Evangelion meme of all, the disapproving Shinji meme. Did this video help you gain any newfound appreciation for this episode? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. Until next time, thanks for watching.